ask you, what I'm about to say, and JW and Tim, what we're going to share with you is going to be on YouTube. However, I always think these type meetings are better in person where questions can be asked and things like that. So I already know of a couple or two couples right now that can't be here, and I'm going to be available, and possibly JW and Kim, just depending on their schedules, I will make time. So if you know anybody, we will sit down.
Sure.
If I can't, JW will, Kim will, we'll make time, we'll make sure and answer questions and give you all the information, walk you through this slideshow. So if somebody you know says, oh, I didn't even know about the meeting, we did call it about a week and a half before this, so it was pretty last minute, but the heart was to get it before as many of you as possible when you still have, when you're more than a year out from the trip.
Yes.
Gives you as long as possible to be able to make a decision and start saving and all that kind of thing. So, are they trying to get down here?
They're praying, I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe that everybody finished.
No.
Okay. Well, we'll get started, and then if they come in, I can just share with them at the end or something like that. So this all kind of came about. I really think the talk began to build as I got back from Iraq and Israel, and was sharing a little bit more. I think Kim and JW started bringing up, why don't we try to do something for the church? And so we've begun to put feelers out there. We've talked with a tour company that actually is the one that Ron Cantor uses. That those of us who went in 2015 with Ron Cantor. This is Jet Tours, or Jerusalem Eternal Tours, and they did a fantastic job with us. So we've used them before. So let's just start kind of walking through this, I guess, and then we'll show a video in a little bit. So it says 10-day holy tour. That includes a day at the front for travel and a day at the back for travel. It's 8 nights, days and nights in Israel touring. All right. So we leave out of DFW on the 15th. 16th arrive in Tel Aviv, and they'll pick us up right now on one of those super buses. It's a luxury coach thing. They take really good care of you, by the way. The vehicle we were on when we went was very nice. We'll start off. Jaffa, the port that Jonah was in, is right there on the edge of Tel Aviv, just to the north. So it's an easy thing. And then seeing the Mediterranean Sea, which is beautiful. Hopefully it's a clear sunny day because it's a beautiful color. And, but that would be day one. So pretty much one site, getting to see the house of Simon the Tanner and seeing the Mediterranean. And they're probably going to let us all kind of unwind from the jet lag and get some food in us and get ready, because when you see Israel, it's a very fast pace, because there is way more than you could see if you spent years there. There's that much. It's just layers and layers and layers of history. So any tour guide wants to get you through as much as possible. Galen's famous line is, it's like drinking from a fire hydrant when you listen to Hannah, and I'm sure other guides are the same way, because they're trying to pour so much into you and give you as much information as possible at each site.
It's about a 10-hour flight, more or less.
Yeah, about a 10-hour
Just
flight.
if you're wondering.
Yeah. So here's a picture of the Mediterranean. These are shots that I took when I was over there. I'm not sure when they say Mediterranean, if they're going to take us to a beach area, or if they're going to, what the plan is on that part. But we will be staying on the Mediterranean in Tel Aviv, so you'll be close to it. If you notice the first morning, so we'll go up the shores of Caesarea, then the Roman amphitheater. This is an amazing spot here where Paul stood trial. It's where Cornelius was at, who was the first Gentile believer, all those things, and where the Holy Spirit met with Peter. We got a lot of tremendous stories that happened right here in the port. And so this is a shot of that amphitheater. Right here's where Pilate stood. Herod was here whenever he got eaten by worms. This is you've got multiple Bible stories that happen in this location. So, and then this is on top of Mount Carmel. which is another one that we'll go to. This is Elijah. You'll actually look from the top of that over the valley of Megiddo, where the Battle of Armageddon is to take place. It's the same valley that Elijah ran across, and he beat all the chariots after he defeated the prophets of Baal. So a lot of great historical things. Then on the same day, we'll go to Nazareth and Cana, which is where he did his first miracle, turn the water into wine. You all, of course, know Nazareth, Jesus of Nazareth, right? This is where he grew up at. So,
And Chris, this is October 16th.
17th.
17th.
It's actually the 7th.
okay,
That's
okay.
my bad.
That was- okay.
Yeah, just love the 7th.
thank you. Yes, that would be a little earlier, yeah.
Jump
We're
back
on
in
the 16th,
time.
no, we're on the 17th, yeah. So, does anybody have any questions as I go slide to slide? I'm just trying to walk you through kind of the itinerary, and then we'll get to the stuff you probably came for, which is the numbers, right? All right. By the way, that first night was at the Daniel Hotel in Herzliya, which is actually like a suburb of Tel Aviv. It's just to the north. But then we will spend 3 nights. This hotel or in Tiberias. Tiberias is built right on the Sea of Galilee, and more than likely, the Caesar Hotel is. You're going to have rooms where you're seeing the sea. I know when we went in 15, the hotel we stayed at, most of us had window views of it. Can't promise that, but you're right on the Sea of Galilee. It's absolutely gorgeous. And Tiberias is an ancient city, all the way back to Tiberius Caesar. Then we will, the next morning, we'll go out on a boat ride on the Sea of Galilee. More than likely one just exactly like that. Again, to me, there's nothing like being on the lake, the sea, that Jesus walked on water, that he calmed the storms, where he, the miraculous catches of fish. I mean, story after story after story, right here. We'll also, Magdala is where some excavations of an ancient boat are at. They're on the far side of the sea, on the north side. Capernaum is the city of Jesus. The Church of the Primacy of Peter was one of JW's recommendations, and it's also called Tabgha. And that you can go around behind the church, right? And
Yeah,
be
and
on
the church is
beach.
on the shore.
On the shore,
On
right.
that part of the shore where Jesus, after his resurrection, did the same miracle with Peter, catching the fish, and Peter ran in, and they had breakfast, and the story, Do You Love Me? All of that is right there next to Capernaum and the Mount of Beatitudes, because that's where Jesus did his ministry. All in that region there. So we're going to get to hop around to each of those places where Jesus did his ministry, read the context, see the scripture, talk about all of it. It's cool.
It is, when you get there, it's like everywhere you go, you just can't believe you're standing where you're standing.
Now, the reason why you see these churches and buildings, because the Catholic Church built churches over the spots where all this stuff happened. And again, made it a holy site. And so that can frustrate you too, because you're going to see a lot of churches going, why did you just keep it the way it was? But you got to see a church to see the site as well. So understand, that's why that is the way it is.
So yeah, that's the entrance to the town of Capernaum, or the ancient ruins, which we'll be seeing. This is the Jordan River, and more than likely when we go for a day, you have the opportunity of being rebaptized, which almost everybody in our tour group last time was rebaptized. This is me and Ron Cantor, and we're baptizing Heather. So it's a lot of fun just to get baptized in the Jordan River again, and say you got to do that. So then we have another night in the Tiberias Hotel, or the Caesar Hotel at Tiberias, and we'll go up to the Golan Heights. This is very near to Syria. You'll see an ancient synagogue. Tel Dan is a gorgeous walk. I've got pictures on my phones and stuff, but you've got a rapiding river coming down. You get to see a site where there were 2 calves, golden calves made by Jeroboam, and one of them was in Dan, and you'll see the actual spot, the actual mound where that golden calf was set in the north. Anias is this right here. It's also called the Gates of Hell, or Caesarea Philippi. There's all kinds of pagan worship that happened here for thousands of years. And they have tons of information, little plaques you can read all about all the different gods of Pan and different ones that were worshipped there. And then onto Mount Mental and ascend to the Golan Plateau. And from here, you just have a beautiful view of Israel. It's pretty high. It's what, I've not done this, but what he was recording. So the picture up here is more of part of the water that flows out of Benaiah. It's a little bit lower down.
Yeah, the Mount Hermon and all that, the highest point is where all that snow melts. It's the headwaters of the Jordan River, which goes down and forms the Sea of Galilee, which keeps going and forms down the Dead Sea. So you're in all that area where all that water started, a lot of water imagery and things like that, which Jesus used a lot of water imagery because there were probably places like this, and he was using those backdrops to convey a message. And we'll get to do the same thing while we're there. Use that backdrop to read Scripture and have the same imagery that they saw.
All right, then day 6 we head to Jerusalem. This is a picture of the Temple Mount and the walls of Jerusalem. So we'll pass through the Jordan Valley, Judean Desert, and we'll go to the Mount of Olives, which is basically where the person taking this picture is at. They're looking on the east wall, and the Golden Gate sits right down over here. So let's see. Then the Church of All Nations is again one of those things that was built in a spot that's frustrating, but it's in the Garden of Gethsemane, and there's all these olive trees. It's beautiful to get. You still get to see the olive grove that he went into when he prayed. Sweat drops like blood. Let's see. The Kidron Valley is the valley between the two. We'll see all of that. Bet Shem is another thing that we got added in. That is an ancient Roman city, and you get to see a lot of what things look like in the time. And again, it's a place of levels of history because there's a mound right on the edge of Bet Shem, which is where a city was at that King Saul and his son were hung at when they were killed. Then we'll see Bethlehem, and in order to get in Bet Shem, we've taken out the Church of the Nativity. But we'll see Shepherd's Field in Bethlehem. Church of Nativity, Jacob has been, and he said it's a tiny thing, not much to see, but a lot of crowds. So we felt like getting this city in is a lot better. And when I talked to the guy, he said there would be no problem to trade out one thing in Bethlehem, but still go to Bethlehem and just see the field area that they think the shepherds bring. And then we'll go into Jerusalem. Which is actually a part of all of this. It's not really in order. And the Yehuda Hotel, you'll see pictures of the hotels we'll stay at. These things are amazing. We could not get into these places without paying a fortune. But having a guide, they've got connections and they can get them for a lot better price than what we could individually. When Josh and I went this last spring, we stayed in some tough neighborhoods. But we saved money.
I'm fighting for us, ladies. We're not doing that.
This is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the Garden Tomb, the Western Wall, all things that we'll see in Jerusalem, along with a lot more. The City of David, which is continually being excavated. They're finding more and more stuff. Between 2015 and this last spring, they found more and more coins with the symbol of David on the coins. There's just new stuff being unearthed all the time. It's an active site. We'll be on the southern steps of the temple, which is where Jesus went up and down out of the actual steps. Some of them are still there that he walked on. And that's amazing.
Like I said, Chris, there are some sites that the guide will tell you, we know for sure this is.
Right.
This site, we know it was right around here, but we can't, but the southern steps, or the steps where they did the Psalms, as they were going up to the temple and all that stuff. And so you get to see all of that and know, wow, thank you, Jesus. He had us on his mind as he was going up those steps.
Yeah. Amen. This tour is just helping you see the second temple as it was built, and that's a really nice thing. Via Dolorosa is just the path of the cross that Jesus carried. We'll walk through part of that. Pool of Bethesda, where miracles happened. Gordon's Calvary is this one. And Golgotha is right beside that. All that's a part of the same thing. and then you see the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The thing about this is the traditional site since about 300 AD that they think Jesus was buried at. This was the tomb and the Mount of Calvary and all that. This is where they believe, so they built a church on it in the 300s. But this one here has a tomb that dates to that time of Christ. That is exactly what he would have been buried in. So you actually get to walk in one and it's all preserved. So that's why it's neat to see both. Some people actually, lean more to this being probably the real site. But if you go with history and tradition, there's your History Tradition Society.
And is the Gordon's Calvary and the Garden Tomb, then those are the same?
I believe they are.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't
So.
put it together.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to go into the museum, the Holocaust Museum. These are all Holocaust victims. Part of this is part of what the tour guides are always going to take you through. They want you to know what the Jewish people went through. And this is an amazing museum. It's better than any Holocaust museum you'll see anywhere in the United States. It is fantastic. And there's no way, again, you'll feel very rushed to just get a glimpse at it. As Galen can attest, there's far more there to read and see. You could fit into, it'd take a week of sitting there looking, and you just can't do that and see Israel. So, but we'll go through it pretty quick. And then we'll get down to the southern part of Israel. We'll see the Dead Sea. Ein Gedi is where it's a spring in the desert. I was going to throw a picture of that up, and I ran out of time the other day, but it's a beautiful waterfalls in the desert. It's mentioned in the Psalms. David went there. It's some amazing things. Masada is this mountaintop fortress. Herod built a palace on the end of it and then never came to it.
You get to climb that. Is that a problem for anyone? No, there's a cable car that takes you.
The times I've gone, I've climbed it both times. It doesn't take that long, but depending on our tour guide, you'd have to walk at a pretty good pace so that you don't drag
There's a
everybody
path
down.
on the back side that goes like this all the way up.
They have a snake path at the front and then a back ramp, like I'm saying. And let's see, this is all about what's on the top. Then the Qumran Caves is where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. And then, time permitting, we will take a float in the Dead Sea, which is also a great experience if you've never laid on top of water. It's fantastic. You don't sink. It's a lot of fun. So
Because of the salt.
because of the salt.
So heavy.
Yes. All right. And then we fly back. These are the hotels. This is the Yehuda in Jerusalem. It is a gorgeous place to stay. The Leonardo Suites, as you can see up here, and then the Caesar, the one that's down in Tiberias. It's right there. So, all right. Now the money. So the tour, if we have between 15 and 19 paid people, we get, it's about $1,700, there's a little bit of change to it, but about $1,700 per person on the ground. That doesn't count flying there, or your tips or lunches. But with this, you get breakfast at those hotels. You can eat as much as you want, and then you get a really, really nice supper at those hotels as well. All that's in your fee. There are a lot of people who eat so much at breakfast they don't want to eat lunch and have a granola bar. So you can do what you wanted to on that. If we go to 20 to 24, it goes down to 1,580, I believe. If we go 25 up to 29, I think it goes to 1520 or 1500 something. It's right close to 1,500. So the price goes down if we get more people to go, right? $800, that is round trip. That is what we looked at. Kim and I both sat here for more than an hour or two and searched everything we could. Here's the thing that is actually good news for us. The cheapest time to fly to Israel, the cheapest month, is November. The second cheapest month is October, which is the month we'll be going in. And so if you try to get a flight, and you can Google this, if you try to get a flight from June to August, you're going to pay minimal $1,100, $1,200 a flight, minimal. You can't find anything less than that. But when you look at October, even right now when we were Googling October, there were sites that would say between 600 and 800. Now, granted, that's Ukrainian Air. Don't know how many of you say if I have flown Ukrainian Air, and they were still smoking, and they were what the United States sold off in 1979. And they were rough. So I would recommend the $600 flight. Okay?
What airline is it?
Well, that's the thing. When we were pricing, when you've got more time, so right now we're less than a month away, or about a month away if we were to book it for October, but it's the best guess.
October this year.
You can't book a flight or even see it a year out. You have to wait till you're about 9 months before you can actually see real prices. So the airlines that do this, there is American, United, Delta, and
El Al, British.
El Al,
We've
British,
flew Continental.
and Continental. Yeah, so there's a bunch of really good flights that can do
That
it.
was my question.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to fly on.
No.
Me neither.
I was
Certain
Maybe
flights.
We saw
Airlines.
we saw some in the 800-900 range that were reputable American United type of flights. The hardest thing is though, we're not going to be able to really see that number until we get into January, somewhere along
And
there.
it'll be nonstop.
Well,
No.
some are and some aren't.
Yeah,
Yeah, the one from New York with El Al is nonstop, but I think Delta stops in Germany, or if I'm not mistaken, or Paris, so there is some.
We're gonna try to
We're
limit the
gonna-
number of stops. That would be
Yeah.
the goal,
Right.
is to limit.
and when I talked to Daniel, I don't know if I need to tell you guys, Daniel was the owner or the president of Jerusalem Eternal Tours. And the question that we had for him was, do you book the flight? And if you do you add a percentage? What's the fee? We don't want to add more to our people. We'll just do it ourselves. And he said, we really are not in the business of booking the flights. They'll do it, but if they do, they charge $15 per person. And so he said he would love it. He thinks the best idea in the world if we book it ourselves. And he said, all we do is contact the airlines and ask for group rates and someone to help us put together a group. And then we can all be on the same flight and arrive at the same time, which is important when there's a tour bus waiting to pick you up outside the outside of the airport, because you don't want to be waiting 3 more hours sitting there in Israel on a bus, not seeing anything, because you're waiting on somebody else to come in. You want to be able to get on the bus and get moving, and so.
Which we won't do. We'll let you Uber to wherever we are.
And Chris, there is one exception to that. Those of you, because Kim and I, we've been saving our miles forever, we're going to use the mile things for us and our 2 kids. So there is a good probability that whatever our miles allows us to do, that we may be going over there and meeting y'all. But obviously, we've got to be sensitive. We got to be there before y'all get there,
Because they block out days.
so that y'all aren't
So-
waiting for us. So we may even have to stay a night in the hotel one day waiting for y'all to come. But that is an option for those of you who have miles, that you can just meet there.
And the $800 is from New York, right?
Well, we saw some, I took pictures of them, that took you from DFW through New York and all the way to Israel.
Or through
in
Atlanta.
that 800 range.
Okay.
Yeah, there were some we actually saw, and I took pictures to prove it. But again, the hard part is guaranteeing until we can actually see one that we can hold on to. But I think there's some room in here. This is pretty tight. I don't know that we'll get anything less than that. I mean, unless you're on Ukrainian Air, so, and you can fly at your own risk. So.
Wear your parachute.
Or your parachute. Does anybody have a question about this?
This is a good deal, because Ron Cantor's with airfare is $3,500, and we're basically doing the same type of tour.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they're being good to us, you know, people are working with us.
Chris, what kind of time frame are we looking at? How much money and when?
How much money and when? So whenever things due,
Typically, they have like a
Payment schedule.
deposit,
Right.
and then
We're
the
glad you
final-
asked.
next slide, right there, how about that?
All right. Let's run into it.
Yes, January 21st for our group, a $1,000 group deposit. So the church can cover the $1,000, not that you don't have, your money won't pay it back, but we can make sure this part is held by the 21st. The thing that gets real serious is by March 17th, right? We have to know how many are going to be in rooms. So really, you got a little while to make your decision. as long as you got money that it don't matter and you can pull it out of pocket when you're ready. If you need to be saving from today, then I would start saving, and if you change your mind, you got a little bit of money saved up. But the group deposit is here, the final payment of that $1,700. Now that's going to them. It's $1,700. Remember, if we have 19 paid or less, it's $1,580 if we get 20 to 24. So whatever that final number is, that's what we have to have turned into them by July 21st. The flights is going to be something that we as a church have to work out with you on how we book all that and how you get your money in to cover the flights, which we'll probably also have to book well in advance to get some good rates. So.
And I can check, we're gonna have trip insurance as a whole, but whoever we decide we're gonna fly with, we'll check and see what type of trip insurance they have to cover the flight in case you can't go, and there's always fees and stuff involved. But if we pay up front for the flights in January, February, and March and April, you go, this is not working, we'll check on that and let everybody know what's available in terms of that kind of insurance or the fees that would be involved to cancel.
And most travel insurance that I've bought, you just to give you a heads up, you're not going to be able to buy travel insurance and then go, you know what, we decided to go to Bahamas instead of Israel. That ain't going to work. Your flight insurance, there's going to be stipulations for where your insurance will kick in.
But
So
an
it's-
emergency,
Right.
some sort of an
Yeah.
emergency.
You got a medical emergency, you got something like that that comes up, there's a death in your family. But the only way you can get out of a flight and a vacation without flight insurance, I had to do this one time when I was going to go to Uganda, was terrorist activity. So it's very, very small to get out without insurance. I recommend highly having insurance, and it's not that expensive, and you're covered in case you get the flu or something.
Let me mention this too, Chris. You can't wait till July the 21st to give everything. There's going to be a schedule they're going to give us.
No, this is what they.
They said that, they didn't do the March, the July? Wow.
They're saying give us the $1,000 deposit for the group and
And
everything else.
everything else, that's
Yeah,
new.
so we need to set up maybe a schedule, if it'll help you. Here's a goal to have this much, here's a goal to have this much. But as far as jet goes, they're saying everything.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I've got it in an email. It's what he said. When I asked for a payment schedule, this is what he sent. So, all right. So lots of walking, bring lots of good walking shoes. And as we get closer, those of you who say I am definitely in, we will have classes and we'll go through a lot more details. In fact, Galen took the group of 6 of us that went through, he took it through this. It's history and geography of the Bible story. It's a great little thing. It just kind of helps you learn the geography, the topography of the land. You learn the size, how wide, how long. You learn where certain things happened. It's kind of nice to have a grip on things when you're coming into the land. And I know even when I went into Iraq, I studied maps for a long time because I wanted to know exactly where everything was around me. I wanted to know when I'm in Iraq, where's this city, where's this city, where's this city. And I just like that. That's part of the fun to me. And so we will do that, but probably not do something like that till late summer. And then we'll try to just meet. That way you don't forget it. And we'll take you right up to the trip. We also talked about, there's some teachings that JW has done when he used to take trips with youth, that we may do some of those in the 2 to 3 months prior, leading up, so that we're not taking the time of the tour guide on the ground. We can give you some teachings about things that will be fresh in your mind as you get there, and then the tour guide will add to that. And they actually encourage us to be able to share, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, little bits, and we're going to do that as well. Just sharing some devotional, pastoral things that we both have learned or read, if the guide doesn't mention it. So it'll be a kind of a concerted effort there. But this was just a few things I figured you ought to know. There's a lot of walking involved. If you get to a place where you say, I can't walk, nobody's going to force you. I can tell you when we were with the group in 15, there was people who couldn't, and they went back to the hotel. Some of them stayed on the bus for certain things because they just couldn't walk. So
But
don't
give us
let
an
it
idea, a
pull.
general idea, like when we went to New York, we walked 34,000 steps one day.
Yeah.
That's a game changer
Yeah.
for someone with bad feet.
Oh, yeah.
but an average day was 15,000.
Yeah.
Are you walking 10, 11, 12 miles a day?
Oh, yeah. There was, not every day, but you walk a lot. The day we did Masada and everything.
No, it's flat.
But there's rest times.
Oh,
in
yeah.
the
Yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah,
It's not
yeah.
like
Yeah.
You're stopping for lunch, you eat supper, and then you sit down while they talk sometimes. Yeah, it's not, they're not killing you, but, you know, you just, at night, you sleep.
And on some days, there's not as much walking, like if we're going through all the Galilee sites, you're in Capernaum, the bus parks in the parking lot, and you're walking just a very short distance to that church. Then you get on the bus, you go to the next place, you're in the parking lot again, so you're not. Masada, yeah, the whole Masada, as you saw, is spread out up there, so even if you take the train going up, there's a lot of room to be walking at all the different buildings.
Now, what's
About
the,
the weather.
yeah, the weather and the altitude, does that affect you?
We're
It's the
going-
same as ours
yeah.
here. It's almost the same, the same longitude, latitude, wherever. It's almost, so in October here is what October is there.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. No, October's
October's
nice.
want some cool weather.
It's cool.
It's not summer.
But you've also got down around the Dead Sea is warmer. There's certain areas where it's higher altitude, lower, and so you're gonna feel a little bit just within the geography, but yeah, what he's saying, it's kind of like Texas, except if you're higher or you're lower, you're gonna feel different things, but, okay. Yeah, that's the class I was talking to you about, we'll try to do some teaching. So, let me, try to pull up this video real quick.
Pastor Chris,
Yes.
this week in Jerusalem, it's in the 80s all week and in the 60s at night.
Oh,
With
great.
one night being 59
This week,
this week.
where we're at now, but we're going
Yeah.
later in October.
Yeah, but I mean,
It'll be a little bit
That's not bad.
No, it's in, the whole week, this week is in the 80s up there.
So it's nicer there than here.
It's hotter there in the summer.
But if it's like Texas, you
It's
never know.
brutal.
Because
And sunny every
I was
day.
there one summer.
So
and
you
it was
wouldn't
100
push my
degrees weather.
wheelchair?
Yeah,
if I
it was
did?
over 100, it was bad. And I went in April and it snowed. Texas weather. And the food's really good, since we're looking at that.
Oh, yeah, those lunches, the falafel, the shawarma, the pita bread with all the stuff you can stuff in it. Oh my gosh, it's so,
Non-keto.
just think Mediterranean food. Oh, it's good.
A little hard to get bacon over there.
Sausage.
For sure.
Your breakfast will be a little on
Yeah.
the disappointing side if you're a
Yeah.
bacon and eggs person.
Yeah, and Kim's right, don't ask for cheese for your burger, it's not kosher. So-
You get bacon jerky at Walmart.
And you can't have the freezer with your dinner.
Take that with you.
In your coffee.
One year when we went, we got there late to the hotel and the kitchen had closed. We had all these kids with us and they took us to the dining room. They're very hospitable, everybody is.
You'll love it.
Very hospitable, and set us all down for sandwiches, and we all were sitting there, we prayed, and we're looking at the sandwich, and then we opened it, it was cow tongue. I was like, yeah, I'm not that hungry.
That's not very much,
No.
by the way.
Yeah, this was a
One
real
trip,
trip.
yeah.
Trying to thin out the herd.
Yeah, right. Kim, you want to sell this, I'm going to do my wife.
We want more than 19 to go.
Do it.
Yeah.
This is really short, so it's just, this is the tour company and the guy who
Western Wall.
Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount, and Calvary all happened right here in Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, the city of our great King. Jerusalem Eternal Tours will take you to ancient Jerusalem. See the vibrant colors and experience the rich culture. Hear the sounds and taste the flavors of ancient times. And above all, walk the same streets Jesus may have walked on. Come to the Holy Land and experience the Bible in the new way. See where Jesus was teaching, ministering, and see where he obtained eternal victory. The Psalms remind us to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim. There is no better place to pray for Jerusalem than right here, the city where eternal peace has been established.
All right, that is super short.
And that was just all in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
When
That
you're,
was just
when you're in
Jerusalem.
Galilee, you're in the countryside, and it is so refreshing and wonderful. And even when you go down to the Judean desert, down there to the Dead Sea, you don't have all the, you know, this commercial city life. So, you know, at least my least favorite place to be in the whole tour is Jerusalem, because it's so crowded and it's very city oriented. But all the other sites are very.
We've got tons of videos of all the other sites, if you want to see them. I've got one pulled up of Ein Getty and things with the guy talking, if any of you want to see it, but I figured you might be busy today, so that's the short video, and there's the information. I guess if you didn't get a hold of the sign-up sheet, we'll put your information on there. We'll have a group email that goes out to make sure you get information, and if your name's on there and you decide you don't want to go later, just let Kim know and she won't send you stuff. Anybody have any questions about any of this, Jill?
As a single, I'm not single, of course, but my husband's excited for me to go, but he would not be going. Would my room accommodation, if there is not another single traveler that wants to split a room, would my accommodation maybe be a little more?
I believe it is a little
Okay.
more. They're going to try to put people together, and I think she has the,
There's something there, I'm not sure how to interpret that, but
Yeah.
this was for the tour itself, I don't know.
said single supplement, $722.
Yeah.
So if you're going to stay the whole 8 days and have a room by yourself, you'd add $722 to
Okay.
what you would pay.
And then if we have, but when would I know, Kim, if there's another individual that wants to split a room? We'll know that.
Yeah, once
kind
we
of
get
thing.
enough people,
Okay.
and I'm sure there'll be somebody else who'll say, hey, I wanna go, but it may just be me.
Sure.
Can we sit down if we're done with everything?
Oh, yeah, this is it. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. I know we got live crews beginning and stuff, but I will be here if anybody has any questions. Get up here.